Gentlemen, Fruity Oud fragrances have started to become very popular as of the last few years, so therefore I want to show you, gentlemen, my 6 favorite Fruity Oud fragrances that I either have in my collection or have sampled before. So let's not waste any more time and let's begin. The very first fragrance is one that I sampled a couple of times now, one that I want in my fragrance collection at some point, and that is Maison Crivelli Oud Maracujá. This is a very leather dominant oud fragrance because there's no real oud here, just a very well made leather dominant oud accord with a bunch of fruity notes at the top, with a passion fruit accord that is very prominent here, being very sweet, very fruity, and very strong at the same time. There's some Turkish rose, there's saffron here to really elevate the leathery feel in this fragrance, and some amber to really add some density here. And you can also detect a good amount of patchouli here as well to give this fragrance some added dark feeling to the very leather dominant oud accord. But overall, you're going to pick up on the sweet passion fruit fruitiness and the leathery oud feel. On my skin, this fragrance lasts 10 to 12 hours with an arm's length of projection for around an hour or so, which then dries to a moderate and in the end a mild skin scent. I think this is a very well made fragrance with a stunning oud accord here that is to the very dark leathery side of things, and I've given Maison Crivelli Oud Maracujá a 9.6 out of 10 minutes improvement rating. Such a good fragrance right here. So if you want a fruity oud fragrance, this is going to be by far one of the most popular ones, and in my opinion a very good choice. This next fragrance is going to be the only one that I have a bottle of as of late, and that is Sospiro Erba Oud. This is, in my experience, the strongest one on this list, and I'm very sure this has some percentage of real oud in it as well. This is going to be this type of fruit basket type of fragrance with a very strong, slightly animalic and sweaty oud in it. There's supposedly a melon, peach and apple accord in here, but overall I pick up on this very fruit basket like type of scent DNA that is well known in other fragrances, but here it's amped up with the oud here. This is very strong. Some people might call it nuclear, and the projection and sillage of this fragrance is insane. On my skin, Sospiro Erba Oud lasts 12+ hours, with projection being 2 meters plus for a couple of hours, which then dries to a moderate and at some point it dries to a mild skin scent. This can be very challenging because the oud here is a little bit funky and perhaps a little bit sweaty, but this is going to be a very strong fruity oud fragrance, and I have given Sospiro Erba Oud a 9.7 out of 10 minutes improvement rating. It is a little bit expensive, but if you're looking for a very strong and slightly funky fruity oud fragrance, this is a very good one, and possibly one of the best ones. Next up is going to possibly be the most popular one here, and that is Louis Vuitton Ombre Nomade. This is possibly the epitome of a fruity oud fragrance, but in my opinion and in my experience, the fruitiness here comes and goes and is not the most prominent thing other than the oud in here. This has a very small percentage of real oud, but most of it is going to be very patchouli and leather dominant, with some ambers in here to add some density and oomph to the fragrance as well, combined with a very heavy dosage of rose and incense to give it this smoky, dark, dense floral feeling. And there's a raspberry accord at the top to give you this slightly earthy but also a little bit fruity sensation here. But on some people's skin, this comes off way more fruitier than on mine. It is a fruity oud fragrance, but in my opinion it's not very fruity because the fruitiness comes and goes in terms of the scent profile's longevity. But on my skin, Ombre Nomade from Louis Vuitton lasts 12+ hours with around an arm's length of projection that dries to a moderate and in the end a mild skin scent. It is very expensive, but if you like rose and oud, this is one of the most popular ones and one of the best ones in my opinion, especially if you want something that lasts all day and gathers you compliments as well. And I've given Louis Vuitton Ombre Nomade a 9.8 out of 10 minutes improvement rating. This is almost as good as they come and one of my personal favorites. Next up, if you like Ombre Nomade, you will absolutely love this next one, and that is Terence Hughes Onyx Extreme. This, in my opinion, smells almost identical to Louis Vuitton Ombre Nomade, but this is going to be of higher quality and it's going to be slightly sweeter and possibly fruitier than the previous fragrance. This has an added chocolate accord. There's 4% rose rose absolute in here, and there's also some vanilla absolute in here as well, and a 7.6% of real Thai oud that really gives you this very strong and opulent oud scent. And adding to the fruitiness, there's both a raspberry accord but also a plum accord in here that gives you this slightly more fruity sensation, but mostly there's going to be a slightly sweeter overall type of Ombre Nomade DNA here. On my skin, Terence Hughes Onyx Extreme lasts 12 plus hours as well, with around an arm's length of projection that dries to a moderate Indian and a mild skin scent, but it takes a few hours for it to dry down to a moderate. This pushes on and on and on off the skin. I have given Terence Hughes Onyx Extreme a 10 out of 10. So if you can give it a try, please do, especially if you love rose and oud fragrances, because this is one of the best ones. Next up is going to be Nishane Hacivat Oud. I have been anticipating this fragrance a lot because I was hoping for the Aventus DNA with added oud, but that is not entirely the real story here. On my skin, this started off being very fruity, slightly sour and sweet, with this fragrance being very pineapple heavy at the top as the Hacivat DNA is, but the overdose of patchouli here comes throughout the entire lifetime of this fragrance, giving you this chocolatey pineapple feeling, which I think is absolutely delicious. And the heft of the oud accord in the base also comes throughout the lifetime of the fragrance. So this doesn't really lean into the Aventus DNA at all, but mostly into this very earthy, dark, slightly aromatic, but also this pineapple touch of a fragrance here. And this isn't going to be the strongest fragrance in the world, but it's definitely going to pack a punch throughout the first 30 minutes to an hour, which then dries to a moderate in Indian, the mild skin scent. But on my skin, Nishane Hacivat Oud lasts between 10 to 12 hours consistently. So this fragrance is going to be for the ones that want a pineapple oud fragrance with some touch of this slightly chocolatey but dark patchouli in here to almost give you a gourmand feel, but not entirely. But on my skin and in my experience, this smells kind of a pineapple chocolatey sweet, which I think is delicious. I have given Nishane Hacivat Oud a 9.2 out of 10 minutes improvement rating. This is a very good shout. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to go back to Terence Hughes, and that is going to be Terence Hughes Oud. The fruits of choice here are going to be dates and raspberry accord here, and this is going to be slightly more darker fruity in terms of the scent profile here, because there's patchouli and vanilla combined with two types of oud, which are Burmese and Thai oud, with a total compilation of 5% authentic oud in here. It's going to give you this very sweet, very dark, opulent oud sensation in here, but combined with the rose, you're going to get this very well blended, very round scent profile here, where nothing really sticks out. And the sweetness here is also added to the fruit accords here, which are raspberry and dates, and the fruit accords here feel and smell very sticky. So what I mean by that is that the fruity accords in here are also very sweet, which adds to the even sweeter base of the fragrance. So overall, if you want a very sweet, very opulent oud fragrance with some fruity touches in here, this is an amazing choice, especially when you consider the price as well. On my skin, Terence Hughes Oud lasts 10 to 12 hours with around an arm's length of projection for a couple of hours, which then dries to a moderate and Indian, the mild skin scent. It's one of my favorite from Terence Hughes, and I've given oud from Terence Hughes a 9.9 out of 10 minutes improvement rating. It is a powerhouse of a fragrance. It is very dense and very well structured, with a very dense and strong backbone and some fruity nuances in there as well, and some nice rose to round off this fragrance where nothing really sticks out. Gentlemen, that was it of my top 6 best fruity oud fragrances in my collection. What do you think? Do you have a favorite fruity oud fragrance? Do you have a favorite oud fragrance? What are your favorite fragrances in this genre of scents? Leave your comments down below. I would love to see what you have to say down there. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the Men's Improvement YouTube channel for more videos about fragrances, grooming, style, fashion, skincare, fitness, watches, everything that will make you, gentlemen, the best possible versions of yourselves. The last few things I want to ask you, gentlemen, is to smile more because it's free, and I want you to watch these 2 videos right here. This one here below is going to be my latest upload, whereas this one up here is going to be a video that the YouTube algorithm thinks you will enjoy.